It was still dark when Armin's eyes opened. The alarm clock showed 4:59 a.m. He had set it for 5, but his eyes opened 1 minute early. He didn't know why. The room was silent, but something felt strange. The air was heavy, like something important was about to happen. Armin sat up on his bed and looked around. Everything was the same, his desk, his bookshelf, the window half open. But still, something felt different. He rubbed his eyes and stretched. Just then, something caught his attention. There was a letter on the windowsill. It wasn't there last night. The paper was white and clean. It was sealed. No name, no stamp. Just one line written in golden ink on the front. "Don't waste this morning. It's a gift from someone you've forgotten." Armin felt a cold shiver run down his spine. Who sent this? How did it get into his room? He lived alone. The windows were shut. The door was locked. He picked up the letter slowly. The paper felt warm, like it was waiting for him. His hands shook a little as he opened it. Inside was a simple message. "You promised something once. Today is the day to remember." That was it. No signature. No date. Armin sat on the bed, confused. He tried to remember. What promise? Who was this from? Why today? He looked out the window. The sky was still dark, but the birds had started to chirp softly. For a moment, he felt something, like a quiet voice in the wind whispering to him. Suddenly, his phone lit up. It was a message from an unknown number. "Start where it all began. Look inside the blue box." He stared at the screen. Who was this? He quickly got out of bed and looked around his room. In the corner of his closet was an old blue box, something he hadn't opened in years. He pulled it out, wiped the dust, and opened it slowly. Inside were childhood memories, photos, small, toys, school certificates. He smiled for a second. Then he saw something that made his hands freeze. It was his old diary, the one he wrote in when he was 10 years old. He opened the first page. The handwriting was messy but clear. "One day when I grow up, I will help someone every morning. That is my promise." Armin stared at the words. He suddenly remembered. His mother used to wake him early every morning. She always said, "Mornings are full of hidden blessings, Armin. If you help someone in the morning, your whole day will shine." He used to believe her. He even made that promise and wrote it in his diary. But then life changed. His mother passed away when he was 16. His father became quiet. Armin grew up, and slowly, the morning magic disappeared. He stopped believing. He stopped feeling. And now, here it was again. The promise, the morning, the message. Was it all a coincidence? Just then, something else happened. The radio in the living room turned on by itself. Armin walked slowly to the other room, heart beating fast. It was playing an old song, his father's favorite song. He hadn't heard it in years. He sat down, confused and a little scared. First the letter, then the message, now the song. "Is someone playing a game with me?" he whispered. But deep inside, he knew. This was not a joke. This was real. Flashback. A morning long ago, Armin remembered one morning many years ago. He was only 8 years old. His mother had made his favorite breakfast, paratha with honey. He had complained about waking up early, and she had laughed. "You'll thank me one day," she said. "Why?" Armin had asked. "Because some mornings are not just mornings," she said. "They are gifts. You just have to open them." He didn't understand her then, but now those words came back like a warm hug. Back in the present, Armin held the letter again. "Don't waste this morning." He looked at the clock. It was now 5:22 a.m. He knew he had a choice. Go back to sleep and forget everything. Or follow the signs. His heart whispered, "Follow them." So he got ready quickly, washed his face, wore his jacket, and stepped outside. The sky had turned a little blue. The air was fresh. The streets were empty. As he walked down the road, he noticed something strange. The birds were sitting silently on a wire, all facing the same direction, toward the park. He followed their gaze. There, in the corner of the small park, sat an old man on a bench. His head was down. His hands were shaking. Armand hesitated. Should he go? He remembered his diary words. "I will help someone every morning." He walked slowly toward the man. "Sir, are you okay?" Armand asked softly. The old man looked up. His eyes were red, as if he had been crying. "No one ever asks me that anymore," the man said, his voice tired. Armand sat next to him. "Can I help?" The old man looked at him for a long moment. Then he reached into his coat and pulled out a small photograph. He handed it to Armand. Armand looked at it and froze. It was a picture of a girl Armand knew. A girl from his past, Ariba, his childhood best friend. The photo was old, but the smile was the same. He looked at the old man again. "Where did you get this?" The man smiled. "You were meant to find it." Then he stood up and walked away slowly, disappearing into the morning mist. Armand sat there holding the photo, his mind full of questions. What was happening? Why now? What did this morning want from him? He looked up at the rising sun and felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. And deep in his heart, he knew. This morning wasn't just another day. It was a gift, and it had only just begun. Armand sat on the bench in the park, holding the photo tightly. The girl in the picture was Ariba, his childhood best friend. He hadn't seen her in over 10 years. Her face, her smile, they brought back 1,000 memories. But what shocked him more was the old man. Who was he? Why did he give Armand this photo? And why now? The sun was rising slowly, painting the sky orange and gold. Birds began to chirp louder. A soft breeze passed through the trees. Armand looked at the picture again. It wasn't just a photo. It was a message. A piece of the puzzle. He stood up and started walking home. His mind was full of thoughts. Every step brought back memories of his childhood. With Ariba, she used to live next door. They used to ride bikes together, share stories, and laugh for hours. But life changed. Her family moved away when they were teenagers, and they lost contact. As he reached home, he opened the old diary again. He flipped through the pages. Most of them were empty, but in the middle he found something else. A folded paper was stuck inside. He opened it. It was a letter, written by his mother in her soft handwriting. "Dear Armand, I know life will not always be easy. One day, you will forget the magic of mornings. But I hope you also remember the promise you made to help someone, even when it's hard. If you're reading this now, it means your heart is waking up again. Look for the girl with the kind smile. She's part of your promise, too. With love, Mama." Armand sat down slowly. His eyes became wet. How did she know? How did she write this so many years ago? And it still made perfect sense today. His mother had always believed in fate, in signs, in hidden blessings. Now Armand was starting to believe, too. He wiped his eyes and made tea. While drinking it, he opened his laptop. He typed Ariba and the city name into a social media site. There were many people with the same name. He kept searching, hoping to find something. After 10 minutes, he saw her. Same eyes, same smile. Her profile was private, but her display photo was clear. She was living in the same city again. A strange feeling ran through his body. Before he could think more, a new message popped up on his screen. Unknown. Number. The promise you made was not just for one person, but you must start with her. His heartbeat increased. Again, no name, just a message. This wasn't just about Ariba. It was bigger. Flashback. A night before goodbye. He remembered the last time he saw Ariba. They were both 15. Her family had packed everything. She was standing near the moving truck, looking sad. "We'll meet again, right?" she had asked. "Of course," Armand said, trying to smile. "Promise?" "Promise." But life had other plans. They never saw each other again. Until now. Armand looked at the photo again. Maybe this was the moment to complete that promise. He picked up his phone but stopped. What would he say after so many years? Would she even remember him? He looked at the message again. Start with her. It didn't say talk to her. It said start. He took a deep breath and made a decision. He would go find her, not online, but in real life. He wore a clean shirt, grabbed his jacket, and left the house again. On the way to the address he found from her profile, he stopped at a flower shop. He didn't buy roses or fancy flowers. He picked sunflowers. Bright, warm, simple. Just like the mornings his mother used to love. At Ariba's place, he reached the address. It was a small house with white walls and a green door. He stood there for a minute, unsure. What if she didn't remember him? What if she didn't want to see him? Just then, the door opened. A woman stepped out. It was her. She looked at him and froze. Their eyes met. 10 years of silence stood between them. She stepped closer. "Armand?" He nodded, nervous but smiling. She looked down at the sunflowers in his hand. "You still remember?" she whispered. Armand smiled softly. "I made a promise. I think I'm just starting to keep it." Ariba didn't say anything for a moment. Then she opened the door wider. "Come in." Inside the house, they sat down. The room was warm, filled with soft light. There were books on the table and a cat sleeping in the corner. "I got a letter this morning," Ariba said suddenly. Armand's eyes widened. "You did?" She nodded. "No name, just a message. You're not alone in your story. He will find you today." They looked at each other in shock. "Do you think—" Armand began. "Yes," Ariba said. "I think this is something more than just memory." The clock on Ariba's wall ticked softly as Armand sat quietly on the sofa. Neither of them spoke for a while. Their hearts were full of questions, but something told them not to rush. Some moments need silence. Ariba looked at the letter she had received that morning. It was on her table. Same white paper, same golden ink. "You're not alone in your story. He will find you today," she pointed to it. "Who do you think sent these letters?" Armand shook his head. "I don't know. But they brought me to you. That has to mean something." She smiled gently. "Maybe this is where it begins." A step back in time. They sat down with tea and started talking about their past. The days when they rode their bicycles on empty streets, when they climbed trees, when they sat on rooftops and watched stars. Ariba laughed. "Remember how we tried to fly that kite with no string?" Armand smiled. "It was your idea." "It was your kite," both laughed. But slowly the laughter faded. Ariba's eyes grew a little sad. "Life became heavy, didn't it?" she asked. Armand nodded. "After my mother passed away, everything changed. I forgot how to smile in the morning." "I understand," she said. "I lost my father 2 years ago. He used to tell me, 'God hides small miracles in the morning.'" Light. Both of them looked out the window. The sky was now bright but peaceful. That's when Armand said softly, "I think this morning is a miracle." The new message just then, Armand's phone beeped. Another message from the unknown number. "One life will change today if you take the first step. Go to the red gate near the old railway tracks." He showed it to Ariba. "The red gate?" She repeated. "Yes. Do you know where that is?" She nodded. There's an old building near the railway. People say no one lives there anymore. Armand stood up. I have to go. Ariba looked at him. I'll come with you. The journey. They took Ariba's car and drove in silence. Both felt nervous, but something inside pushed them forward. They reached the place after 20 minutes. It was quiet. The train tracks were rusty. The red gate stood tall and shut. Weeds had grown around it. They stepped out. The gate looked old, almost forgotten. But on it was a new white sticker. In golden letters, knock 3 times and wait. Armand knocked. 1, 2, 3. Silence. Then slowly, the gate opened with a creak. Inside was a small yard, and at the center sat a young boy about 12 years old. He looked up as they entered. His clothes were dirty and his face looked tired, but his eyes were sharp. Are you Armand? The boy asked. Armand and Ariba were shocked. Yes. How do you know me? The boy pointed to a box next to him. In there. A letter came with your name. The box of secrets Armand opened the box. Inside were several old letters, photographs, and a notebook. One letter was addressed to Armand, in the same handwriting as the first one he received. Dear Armand, this boy Bilal is part of your promise. He is alone but not forgotten. Your first step is not just remembering the past, but saving a future. Take care of him. Teach him mornings again. With love, Mama. Armand's hands trembled. He looked at Bilal, who was now standing quietly. Where are your parents, Bilal? Armand asked gently. They're gone, Bilal said softly. I've been staying here since last month. I didn't know where else to go. Then one morning, a man came and gave me that box. He said someone named Armand would come for me. Ariba sat down on the ground beside the boy. We're here now. Armand took a deep breath. He looked up at the sky. This was the first step. Not just finding Ariba, not just remembering the promise, but living it. A new beginning. They brought Bilal home. Ariba made food. Armand gave him clean clothes. That evening, Armand sat with the boy on the balcony. The sky was red with the sunset. Do you know, Armand said, some mornings are gifts. Bilal looked at him. Like today? Armand smiled. Yes, just like today. In the corner, Ariba watched them both. Her heart felt full. She knew this was no longer just a story. It was a mission. Late-night message as the stars came out. Armand got one last message that day. The first step is complete. Now the chain will begin. Not everyone who needs you will knock. Some will hide. Will you still find them? Armand didn't reply. He didn't need to. His answer was already clear. Next morning, Armand woke up before the alarm again. This time, he didn't feel confused or afraid. He felt calm, like his heart had remembered something it had forgotten for years. He looked outside the window. The sky was light blue. A few birds were flying in slow circles. The air smelled fresh, like a new chance. He stood quietly for a moment, holding a cup of tea. Then he turned and looked at the small mattress near his sofa. Bilal was still sleeping, hugging the pillow tightly. His face looked peaceful. Ariba was in the kitchen, making breakfast. So much had changed in just one day, and Armand knew this was just the beginning. The second message, at exactly 6:06 a.m., his phone buzzed. Another message from the unknown number. Today you will meet someone who once needed you, but you were not there. This is your chance to make it right. Armand's chest became heavy. Who did he fail? What moment had he missed? He sat down and tried to think. Then suddenly, a memory hit him hard. Flashback. The missed call. 3 years ago, he got a call from an old friend, Sammy. They hadn't spoken in a long time, but the name still felt familiar. That day, Armin was too busy at work. He saw the call, but ignored it. I'll call him back later, he had thought. He never did. 2 weeks later, he heard that Sammy had gone through a deep depression. His mother had passed away. He was alone. No one had picked up his call that day, and Armin had never forgiven himself. He quickly opened his contact list. Sammy's number was still there. His hand shook as he dialed. Ring, ring. Then someone answered. "Hello?" said a tired voice. "Sammy, it's me, Armin." There was silence, then a deep breath. "I never thought you'd call," Armin's voice cracked. "I'm sorry. I should have called years ago." Another pause. Then Sammy said, "Do you have time today?" Armin replied without thinking, "Yes, as much time as you need." At Sammy's apartment, an hour later, Armin reached Sammy's small apartment. The building looked old and quiet. He knocked. Sammy opened the door slowly. He looked thin, with tired eyes and messy hair. But when he saw Armin, a small smile appeared. "I almost didn't open the door," Sammy said. "I almost didn't make the call," Armin replied. They both sat inside. The room smelled like old books and dust, but it also smelled like memories. "I was in a dark place," Sammy said softly. "I called everyone I could. No one answered. I told myself I didn't matter." "You do," Armin said. "You always did." Sammy looked at him. "Why now?" Armin told him everything. The letter, the boy, the photo, the promise. When he finished, Sammy sat back quietly. "You're lucky," he said. "You got a second chance." "No," Armin said. "We both did." The promise in action. That day, Armin stayed with Sammy for hours. They laughed. They cried. They talked about everything they had buried inside for years. Ariba brought lunch later. She greeted Sammy kindly as if she had known him forever. Bilal sat beside him and listened to his stories. It didn't feel like strangers. It felt like family. Another door opens. That evening, Armin received a letter, not a message. A real letter, this, time under his door. He opened it carefully. Inside was a photo of 5 hands joined together and a small note. "One broken connection has been repaired, but many are still lost. Will you keep searching?" Armin looked at the photo again. The hands looked different sizes, different skin tones, but joined in one place. He understood. This was not just about fixing his past. It was about healing others, too. Later that night, Sammy stayed with them that night. Ariba gave him an extra blanket. Bilal brought him water. As they sat together, Armin looked around. In just 2 days, a house that was once cold and silent had become full of life. He remembered his mother's words again. Some mornings are not just mornings. They are gifts. And tests, he smiled softly. This morning again had given him both. The house was quiet that night. Outside, the moon shone softly. Inside, 4 lives were slowly beginning to heal. Armin lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. He had found Ariba. He had helped Bilal. He had reconnected with Sami. But deep in his heart, he felt something was still missing. Something from long ago, a nightmare. Returns. 3 a.m., Armin woke up suddenly. His heart was beating fast. His hands were shaking. He had seen a face in his dream. Not Ariba, not Sammy, not Bilal. It was his father. He hadn't thought about him in years. His father left the family when Armin was just 10 years old. One day, he simply walked out the door and never came back. Armin remembered that day clearly. His mother had cried quietly in the kitchen. He had sat alone in his room hugging his toy truck. He had waited by the window for days, but his father never returned. After that, they never spoke of him again. The unexpected letter. The next morning, Armin went to check the mailbox. Inside was another letter, same golden ink, same white paper. But this one was different. It was not typed. It was handwritten by his father. Armin, I have no right to ask for anything. But I am sick now. And before I leave this world, I want to say I'm sorry. I know I left a wound in your heart. I was weak. I was scared. I live alone now, in a small village near the river. If you don't come, I will understand. But if you do, I'll be waiting. Baba. Arman stared at the paper. His hands trembled. His legs felt weak. He had imagined this moment so many times, and now that it was real, he didn't know what to feel. Facing the past, Ariba saw the letter in his hand when he came back inside. She sat beside him and waited. After a moment, Arman spoke. It's from my father. She stayed quiet. He left us when I was 10. I never saw him again. What does the letter say? He's dying. He wants to meet me. Ariba placed her hand on his gently. Do you want to go? I don't know, Arman whispered. What if I hate him when I see him? What if I cry? What if I don't feel anything at all? Ariba gave a soft smile. Then you feel what you feel. That's not weakness. That's healing. The journey to the river village. The next morning, Arman packed a small bag and left with Ariba. Bilal and Sammy stayed behind, waving from the door. They drove for hours. Trees lined the roads. The sun played hide-and-seek through the clouds. Arman was silent most of the way. His mind was heavy, but Ariba's quiet presence gave him strength. Finally, they reached a small village near a calm, slow-moving river. The air smelled like rain and old wood. They found the house. It was tiny and broken in places. A rusted gate stood open. Arman walked toward the door and knocked. It opened slowly. An old man stood there, thin, pale, weak. But those eyes, Arman knew those eyes. Baba, he said softly. The old man nodded, tears filling his eyes. The first words. They sat in a wooden room with cracked walls. No fancy furniture, just 2 cups of tea and a box of old photos. I thought you'd never come, his father said. I almost didn't, Arman replied. There was a long pause. Why did you leave us? Arman finally asked. His father looked down. I was afraid. I lost my job. I felt like a failure. I thought if I left, you'd be better off. I didn't know how to stay and face the shame. You left a hole in my life, Arman said, voice shaking. You left Mama to suffer alone. I know. And I'll never forgive myself. Arman looked into his father's tired eyes. And then, something surprising happened. He didn't feel anger. He felt sadness. He felt love trying to rise. Again. Letting go before leaving, Arman placed his hand on his father's shoulder. I don't know if I can forgive you yet, but I'm glad I came. His father held his hand tightly, tears running down his cheeks. Thank you, he whispered. As Arman turned to leave, he noticed something on the table, a photo of his mother and him, when he was 5 years old. His father had kept it all these years. The letter at the doorstep. When they returned home, another letter was waiting. Some shadows follow us for years, but light can still find them. You walked into the past and came out stronger. Now prepare for the deepest test, the one that will shake your heart, the one you never saw coming. Arman looked at Ariba. His voice was calm. It's not over yet. She nodded. It's never over. When you are truly healing. The house was quiet again, but this time, not peaceful. Arman sat in the living room, holding the latest letter in his hands. Prepare for the deepest test, the one that will shake your heart, the one you never saw coming. He read those words, again and again. His hands felt cold. He had faced his past. He had made things right with Bilal, Sammy, and even his dying father. But now, a deeper test was coming. He looked around the room. Ariba was in the kitchen, helping Bilal with breakfast. Sammy was reading the newspaper. Everything looked normal, but nothing felt normal. Something was coming, a phone call that changed everything. 11:17 a.m., Armin's phone rang, unknown number. He picked it up slowly. Hello? A soft, shaking voice answered. Is this Armin Malik? Yes. There was silence. Then the voice whispered, I think I might be your sister. Armin froze. What? What did you say? My name is Meher. I was adopted when I was a baby. My adoptive mother passed away last year. Before dying, she gave me a letter and a photo. It had your name, and your mother's. Armin could barely breathe. Where are you? I'm in the city. I don't know anyone here. I'm scared. I had to try. I had to find out if I really had a brother. The forgotten truth, after the call, Armand sat down slowly. Ariba walked in. Is everything okay? No, he whispered. I think I have a sister. Her eyes widened.
What?
He showed her the call log, told her everything Meher had said. But how is this possible? She asked. I don't know, he said. My mother never told me. Maybe she had to give her away. Maybe she wanted to protect her. He felt pain rising in his chest. Had his mother kept a secret from him all his life? Meeting Meher, Armin met Meher at a small cafe that afternoon. She was 19, slim, nervous, holding a faded letter in her hand. When she saw Armin, she stood up slowly. They both just looked at each other. There were no tears yet, just shock. Meher gave him the letter. It was written by Armin's mother, years ago. My dear Meher, you may never read this, but if you do, know this. I gave you away to save you. Your father had left. I had no job, no food, no strength, but I loved you, and I always told Armin that you existed. I just never told him where to find you. Forgive me. Armin closed his eyes. So much pain, so much silence, and now she was standing in front of him. The heart's test. That evening, Ariba asked him, What will you do now? Armin sat on the edge of his bed. I don't know, he said. She's my sister, but I feel like a stranger to her. I don't know. Her favorite color. I don't know if she likes to read or draw. How can I be a brother now? Ariba replied softly. By doing the one thing you've already done for so many others. Show up. Welcoming her home. The next day, Meher came to their house. Bilal looked at her shyly. Sammy smiled kindly. Ariba opened her arms and hugged her, and Arman. He stood near the door, still confused, still unsure. Then Meher walked up to him and asked, Can I call you Bai? He didn't answer. He just hugged her tightly. And in that hug, years of pain melted. Another morning, another message. The next morning, a final letter came. It was short, just one line. The heart passes the test when it chooses love over fear. Armin smiled as he read it. He looked around the breakfast table. Bilal, Sammy, Ariba. And now, Meher. People from different paths, all broken once, all healing now, together. The house had changed. It was no longer quiet. It was full of voices, footsteps, and laughter. Bilal's drawings hung on the fridge. Sammy helped cook dinner sometimes. Meher played soft music in the evenings. Ariba often sat on the balcony, watching. Them all with peaceful eyes, And Armin, he felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Home. But peace never stays forever. Not when your journey still has one more storm. A strange visitor. One afternoon, there was a knock on the door. It wasn't the postman, not a friend, not a neighbor. A man stood there, about 50, tall, sharp eyes. He looked around at the house before speaking. "I'm looking for Armin Malik." "I'm Armin," he replied, stepping forward. The man pulled something from his pocket. A badge. "My name is Officer Rizwan. I'm here about the boy, Bilal." Everyone froze. "Is something wrong?" Armin asked. "We received a report. Someone said the boy is staying here without legal guardianship. We have to take him into care until this is sorted." "No," Armin said quickly. "He's safe here. I'm looking after him." "I understand," said the officer. "But we follow rules. You have 24 hours to prove your guardianship, or we take him." The family breaks down. That night was heavy. Bilal didn't understand much, but he could feel the fear. He kept asking Arman, "Will I have to leave again?" Arman hugged him tight. "No, I won't let that happen." But inside, he didn't know what to do. There were no papers, no adoption, just love. But love, sometimes, isn't enough for the world. Ariba cried silently in the kitchen. Meher sat with Bilal, trying to distract him with stories. Sammy stood near the window, fists clenched. The family that had just come together was about to break. The letter that didn't arrive. Every morning, Armin had received letters, messages, warnings, hope. But this morning, nothing came. No golden ink, no note under the door, no message on his phone, just silence. It scared him more than anything. A difficult decision. "I can't lose him," Armin whispered to Ariba. She held his hand. "You won't." "But how?" "We have no papers, no proof. Just a house full of broken people trying to heal." "Exactly," she said. "That's the proof." He looked into her eyes. Maybe she was right. Maybe love was not in the paper. Maybe it was in the fight to keep someone safe. The storm hits the next morning. Officer Rizwan returned, this time with another man, a social worker. "We're here for the boy," he said gently. Arman stood in front of Bilal. "No. Sir, we don't want trouble. I don't care. He's not just a boy. He's my family." The officer sighed. "Do you have any legal documents?" Arman looked straight at him. "No, but I have something stronger." He turned to the others. Sammy stepped forward. "I was homeless. He gave me food, shelter, and a reason to live." Meher stood beside him. "I had no family. He became my brother in one day." Ariba joined them. "He saved me from a dark life. He made a home out of pain." Then Armin picked up Bilal and said, "And this boy, he saved me too. We may be broken, but together, we're whole." The light breaks through. There was silence. Then the social worker said, "I'll make a note. Sometimes the heart sees more than the system. We'll start the paperwork." Officer Rizwan nodded slowly. "We'll give you time. Keep the boy safe." They left. And just like that, the storm passed. Arman sat down on the floor. Bilal hugged him. Everyone cried, not from fear this time, but from relief. The sky was soft orange. Birds sang gently outside. Inside the house, a quiet peace had returned. Arman stood at the window, holding a cup of tea. Ariba walked up behind him. "You didn't sleep last night," she said. "I couldn't," he replied. "The letter said, 'Today is the final morning?'" She touched his shoulder gently. "Maybe it means the end of pain." "Or the start of something new," he whispered. A morning like no other, everyone was awake early. Meher was helping in the kitchen. Sammy was watering the plants. Bilal had drawn a big smiley sun and taped it on the fridge. Something felt different. Not heavy. Not sad. Just calm. Like the air was holding its breath. Waiting. An unexpected visitor at 9:03 a.m. Someone knocked at the door. Arman opened it slowly. Outside stood a young woman dressed simply. Her eyes were tired but kind. "I'm sorry to come like this," she said. I'm Sana, Bilal's mother." The world stopped for a moment. Ariba came forward. "What?" "I was told my son was in danger, that he might have died. But yesterday, I found out he's alive. Living here." Bilal peeked from behind Arman's leg. His eyes met hers. A moment passed. Then he said quietly, "Mama." Tears ran down her cheeks. "Yes, it's me, baby." Torn between love later, they all sat together in the living room. Sana told her story. She had been abused, lost, forced to run. She left Bilal at a shelter once, hoping he'd be safe. But when she returned, he was gone. She spent years searching. "Then I gave up," she said, voice shaking. "Until someone showed me a video of this house, of Arman holding him." She looked at Arman. "You saved him. You gave him a life. I can't take that away." Arman looked at Bilal, then at Sana. His heart was tearing in two. A choice for Bilal. That evening, Arman sat with Bilal in his room. "Do you know who that is?" he asked softly. Bilal nodded. "She's my real mom." "Yes," Arman said. "And she loves you very much." Bilal was quiet for a moment. Then he asked, "Can I have both?" Arman smiled, eyes full of tears. "Maybe you already do." The letter returns that night. One final letter arrived. Golden ink, simple words. "You have done what many fear, faced your pain, chose love. Family is not in blood alone, but in the hearts that stay. This is not the end. It's your new beginning, Arman." Folded the letter. This time, he didn't cry. He just closed his eyes and smiled. A new beginning. A few weeks later, Sana found a job nearby. She started visiting every weekend. Meher joined a college art class. Her laughter grew stronger. Sammy opened a tiny food stall with Ariba's secret recipes. Ariba began writing a blog, Healing Home. And Arman? He opened a small center for children who had no one, but needed someone. He called it Gift Morning. Because every morning wasn't just another day. It was a gift, a new chance, a fresh start.